Hey, Frog Prince Rana here, and thank you for dropping by. Today, we're looking at a video from a channel called Deflate, titled Why Atheism Really is a Belief, and the logical problem of saying it's not. Okay. Before diving into it, I would like to read the description as well, just to get a primer of what is to come. If it's true that atheism is just the lack of belief, as our atheist friends tell us, it ultimately follows that atheism cannot even be true. This simply follows from the laws of logic. And in this video, I will show you why. It also means that those who define themselves as lack of belief atheist face an uncomfy dilemma when making claims to truth. Followed by the way, the first video of an entire trilogy about this topic. In my next video, I will survey over 40 dictionaries from around the world on the topic of what they have to say about the definition of atheism. Well, from the description, it seems to me the definition is likely to play a major part in the discussion. So it is just prudent to agree on some of the definitions first. God. Well, in Christianity and other monotheistic religions, the creator and ruler of the universe and source of all moral authority and the supreme being. In certain other religions, a superhuman being or spirit worshipped as having power over nature or human fortunes. But is that all? One of Albert Einstein's most famous quotes is, "God does not play dice with the universe." Over the year, many people have interpreted this quote in different ways. Some assumed Einstein was religious, believed in destiny, or that he completely rejected a core theory in physics. Physicist Vasant Natarajan wrote in an essay, Einstein, of course, believed in mathematical laws of nature. So his idea of a god was at best someone who formulated the laws and then left the universe alone to evolve according to these laws. Einstein himself even cleared up the matter in a letter he wrote in 1954. "I do not believe in a personal God, and I have never denied this, but have expressed it clearly. If something is in me which can be called religious, then it is the unbounded admiration for the structure of the world so far as our science can reveal it." But most of us, when we talk about God, we are talking about a supreme moral being which came out of nothing. Just to clarify that statement, if God created everything, who created God? And this being created Adam from dirt, then Eve from Adam's rib, then entrapped them by planting a tree in the middle of the damn garden, and being omniscient, knew exactly what would happen. This being notes and keeps tracks of what we do, and at some point, Israfil or Raphael will blow the trumpet from a holy rock in Jerusalem to announce the day of resurrection. Then, after the judgment, we would be spending the rest of eternity in heaven or hell, maybe after going through purgatory. Yes, I am focusing on Abrahamic God here. Some religion like Buddhist does not involve a God sending someone to a specific realm based on whether they are a sinner. Next is belief. In epistemology, philosophers use the term belief to refer to attitudes about the world which can be either true or false. But generally, when we use the word, we mean it as an acceptance that something exists or is true, especially one without proof. Finally, agnosticism and atheism. Agnosticism is the view that the existence of God, of the divine, or the supernatural is unknown or unknowable. Another definition provided is the view that human reason is incapable of providing sufficient rational grounds to justify either the belief that God exists or the belief that God does not exist. Whereas the literal definition of atheist is a person who does not believe in the existence of a God or any gods. Finally, agnostic atheism is a philosophical position that encompasses both atheism and agnosticism. Agnostic atheists are atheists because they do not hold a belief in the existence of any deity, and are agnostic because they claim that the existence of a deity is either unknowable in principle or currently unknown in fact. Okay, with all the definitions out of the way, which also shows that a word can have different meanings to different groups, let's jump into the video.
Atheism is not a belief, but the mere lack of belief, is what our atheist friends keep telling us. But if that's true, then atheism faces a tough logical hurdle, and in this video I will tell you why. If atheism is nothing but the absence of any belief or claim about God, this basically means that to speak of atheism is to describe a psychological condition, namely the condition that the proposition God exists is not to be found in the atheist brain or mind. And if atheism is essentially the absence of the proposition God exists, then carrots, the Eiffel Tower and butterflies are atheists too.
Now that is an amalgamation of word salad. No, carrot, Eiffel Tower and butterflies are not atheists. They are not even agnostics. One can say atheism is about belief, or specifically what you don't believe, whereas agnosticism is about knowledge, or specifically about what you don't know. Isaac Newton wrote, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself, I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore and diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." I might be completely wrong, but I would paraphrase it to be, I know how much I do not know, or the reverse Dunning-Kruger effect. Being an agnostic comes from a position of knowledge, so comparing us to inanimate object is intellectually dishonest.
Now, a psychological condition is, of course, not the same thing as a claim. The difference may not be self-evident, so let me illustrate this with an example. Let's say I go hiking in the Swiss Alps with my wife, and suddenly I spot an eagle. Me getting excited and going, "Wow!" while pointing to the sky is representative of a psychological state, namely the state of excitement arising from the experience of spotting the eagle. It's not a truth claim about the eagle. However, when I put up a post on my Facebook wall that says, "I saw an eagle in the Alps today," I'm making a claim to truth, namely that eagles, or at least one eagle, exists in the Alps and that I went hiking there today. Psychological states and truth claims are two categorically different things, and one of their key differences is this: only claims have what philosophers call truth value. In plain English, this basically means that claims can be true or false. Psychological states, however, cannot be true or false. Instead, they just are.
Yes, I completely agree. Lucas getting excited arising from spotting an eagle is not a truth claim. Let me guess, Lucas is taking the very long route to get to absence of evidence is not evidence of absence argument, right? Well, at the same time, I am a bit confused. Is he saying religion is a psychological state? Otherwise, this analogy makes no sense whatsoever. God created us is a claim. He is judging us is also a claim. We will end up in heaven or hell is also a claim. So within this magnificent word salad, what is the actual point.
Which brings us right back to the atheist's claim that atheism means the absence of the claim God exists in the atheist's brain. Categorically speaking, this turns atheism into exactly the same thing as me not experiencing excitement after not spotting an eagle on my hike.
Hell no. Earlier I mentioned agnostic atheism. Now before delving more into it, I would like some help from philosopher Bertrand Russell. In 1958, Russell elaborated on the analogy, I ought to call myself an agnostic, but for all practical purposes, I'm an atheist. I do not think the existence of Christian God any more probable than the existence of the gods of Olympus or Valhalla. To take another illustration, nobody can prove that there is not between the Earth and Mars a China teapot revolving in an elliptical orbit, but nobody thinks this sufficiently likely to be taken into account in practice. I think the Christian God just as unlikely. In that sense, I'm personally an agnostic, but when it comes to Abrahamic God, I am an atheist with some qualifiers. We have been presented with Bible, Quran and such, and have been told that it is complete and utter truth, and it is the word of God. The deal with absolute statements are, we just need one example to prove it false. Take the statement, all swans are white. To disprove that statement, you just need to show one black swan or a yellow or pink or any other swan that is not white. Similarly, we only need to disprove one point to reject the rest. Sorry guys, you dug yourselves in that hole. So what can we disprove? Well, we have evolution. We all originated from a single-cell organism that lived roughly 3.5 billion years ago. We share a tiny planet with around 8.7 million other species. Our planet is just one of many in our solar system, which itself is one of approximately 100 billion stars in Milky Way galaxy. The galaxy itself is one of the billion galaxies that comprises our universe. We are insignificant in the grand schema of things. It is a hard pill to swallow, knowing those loved ones who passed away, well, we will never see them again. They will exist only in our memories. In the meantime, all we can do is to be decent for the sake of decency. Sorry that I digressed. Back to prove Abrahamic God wrong. We have the account of biblical flood. There are similar flood stories from different cultures around the world, and many predating Abrahamic story. The flood myth in Egyptian mythology involved the god Ra and his daughter Sekhmet. Ra sent Sekhmet to destroy a part of humanity for their disrespect and unfaithfulness, which resulted in a great flood of blood. Pusankasa, ye Sankasi, or grandfather Sankasa and grandmother Sankasi, according to the creation myth of those Thai people's folk tales, were the first men and women created by the supreme god Purutha. 1,000 years past, their descendants were wicked and crude, as well as not interested in worshipping the supreme god. The god got angry and punished them with a great flood. Fortunately, some descendants survived because they fled into an enormous magical gourd. Now I understand for those who wrote it. Well, to them, the known world is, well, what they knew. So the guys in Thailand didn't think about the kangaroos or platypus. Apart from no geological proof of this great catastrophe that flooded the entire planet, even the logistical problem of having a pair of 8.7 million species, the food needed for 40 days and night, and the separation needed. Well, even if we give this magical being power to have the gazelles living in harmony with their natural prey, or not requiring any food, this being would also have to have them all the species miniaturized to fit in an ark. Genesis 6:14-16 tells us Noah's instructions are given to him by God. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. A cubit is about 18 to 22 inches, which translates to approximately 450 by 75 by 45 feet. Just as a comparison, Titanic had a dimension of 850 by 92 by 64 feet, or simply put, more in all three axes. One doesn't even need a calculator to figure that out. This is a dilemma, but not for the reason Lucas thinks it is. Logic tells us it is an impossibility. But it is possible for a supernatural magical being to break every known law of physics and then cover up any and all evidence of such event. Furthermore, this power made sure that certain animals ends up in our continent far, far away from Turkey, Armenia, near the border of Iran. No, I'm not making this shit up. This is according to Genesis 8:4, where it mentions the ark landing in Mount Ararat or Agridagi. So if the answer is magic, how can we prove it otherwise?
If an atheist defines him or herself essentially as a person whose psyche doesn't feature the thought God exists, it follows that it is logically impossible for their atheism to be true, because psychological states simply have no business with truth value.
Oops, I was wrong. This is strawman argument. Not believing nor disbelieving is not the same as psyche not featuring the thought God exists. Oh, by the way, as Lucas is so gung-ho regarding definition, psyche is the Greek term for soul or spirit. In context of psychology, it means the totality of the human mind, conscious and unconscious. Us agnostic or atheist come to our reasoning based on what we think a rational point. Even if we don't think it is rational, it still exists in our mind or psyche.
Now, if that's atheism's ordeal, how could it possibly make any logical sense for a person to both claim that they care about truth and to call themselves atheists at the same time?
I'm officially tired of this strawman argument now. Let me summarize the remaining. If our position is what Lucas thinks it is, that is, thought of God is not in our psyche, well, then it apparently makes no logical sense, as we're then entangling ourselves in a self-contradiction if we keep making counter-arguments to theist arguments because of the simple fact that counter-arguments are claims to truth. And how is it consistent for an atheist to make claims to truth when atheism has nothing to do with truth in the first place? I don't understand what that means. Or our second option, we want the denial of the claim that God's existence is plausible, and then we need to prove atheism is true. Just goes to show that Lucas is either being dishonest or does not understand why not believing in something without any proof needs to provide evidence for that. It is us who wants evidence to believe in a sky tyrant. I don't believe nor disbelieve the teapot. But if someone claims that the teapot has created us all and brings up some stories, well, yes, we can absolutely make counter-argument for that. Can we prove Sasquatch, unicorn or Loch-Ness monster is not real? I don't know how to. All I can do is point out that there are no records whatsoever, and the ones we have seen so far all has proved to be false. If a claim is made according the lines of Loch-Ness monster roams the city of London every night, well, I don't think about the existence of such monster. But being presented with that claim, my first question would be, shouldn't there be video captured with thousands of CCTV scattered around in London? So is Lucas saying that I can't ask that question if I never thought of that monster or care for its existence? And if I think it is not plausible for such monster to exist, all of a sudden it becomes my responsibility to prove so? Well, Abrahamic God, as described by Lucas's holy books, with the preposition of it is all true, well then we can prove it to be wrong. Unless, of course, prankster God is playing with us. That reminds me of a Bill Hicks sketch, where God is smoking some weed, is going around burying dinosaur fossils, while laughing his head off. We will see who believes in me now. Ha ha ha! I'm a prankster God. Before ending the video, something I would like to clarify. I saw this video from Lucas about a week ago, but had a bunch of other stupid videos to go through first. While writing the script, I saw in the comment that Godless Engineer had also made a response video. I do like GE, especially his intro, but I decided not to watch it until I finished mine, as I didn't want to be influenced with Godless Engineer's response. I'm a computer engineer and also godless, so I'm pretty sure there would be many points we would be completely in agreement with, though he is much more handsome and happier. Once this is done, I will go and see that video. Well, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment and maybe share it around. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. It would help me bring more contents and would be thoroughly appreciated. Thank you once again. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.
We are one people.